So I went to my friend's chiropractic office, and while we were there, we got into a conversation. There was a high school student that recently committed suicide, and it happened to be her son's friend. And so it obviously was kind of upsetting to her because she's had this child in her house before. My son went to the same school, and he knew this kid a little bit, just an acquaintance. But he told me there's actually been three kids, that have committed suicide this school year in the school district. And so we were sitting there talking, and she was sharing her experience and just, what she was going through. And her and the office manager just were like, I don't understand why would somebody do that? What's going on? I mean, the kid was accepted to college. And as we were sitting there, I just kind of felt led to share my story. And so I just reached out to the girls and said that when I was 14, my mom had taken me back from my grandma and said, hey, we're moving to Italy. And so my whole world that I knew had been totally uprooted. And I moved to Italy, and I'm now living with a stepdad, my mom, and my two sisters, and not my sheltered little life with my grandma. Things were not good. And everybody did the best they could. I'm not saying this to blame anybody or put shame on my family or anything, but our family life was just chaos, and it just wasn't good. And me, I decided that I wanted to try to fix it all. At 13, 14 years old, I was trying to be the fixer and the peacekeeper, and it was just way too big of a role for me to take on for myself. So anyway, I'd go to school, and I'd be happy, and I'd be at school and stuff, but every night I'd get on the school bus to come home, and I would just feel depressed. And I would always shake it off and, just go with the day. So when I think I had turned 14, and I was getting ready to get my braces off. And living in Italy, it's really easy to get alcohol. And my friend and I decided it was a good idea to drink a bottle and a half of peach vodka. Yeah, looking back, not so good. But anyway, so we were drinking this vodka, and it just didn't turn out well. And her and I start fighting, and I don't really remember her and I fighting, but she went and told my parents. And so my parents obviously weren't very excited to see a drunk teenager. And it just like World War broke out in our house. And I don't know if I would have done this if it wasn't for the alcohol, but there was obviously signs there. But I went down on the fridge, and my mom had some medication there, and I took the bottle of medication. So I took the medication. I remember drinking the cup, and I remember seeing a whole bunch of red pills at the bottom of the cup. And I don't know what happened or how they found out. I think my mom, I think I remember her. I mean, I was fighting, I was violent. And I remember my mom saying something about me taking pills. So they decided to take me to the emergency room. And I remember running from them, and they didn't want to go. And I remember being in the car on the way there. And in my thoughts, what was going on was, you can let go, Audrey. It's okay to let go. You won't have pain. You won't have to deal with this anymore. You can just have peace. And I guess at that time, my mom said she could feel my heart rate just going away. And then she said something about, what about your grandma? How can you not say goodbye to your grandma? And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, my grandma. And so it came back. Luckily, the pills ended up saving my life because I had so much alcohol in my body that I wouldn't have woke up from just that. And they wouldn't have took me to the hospital if it wasn't for the pills. So it's kind of a weird thing. So I shared that story with those girls, and more of just an understanding of that sometimes, just especially as a teenager or an adult or whatever, that you can get so stuck in your sadness, or that you're trying to take on the world or manage too many things, and maybe don't have the hope. Or one of the most devastating soul wounds as a child is to not feel loved, or to feel that you're not lovable. And so that was definitely a stage of where I felt at that time of my life. A lot of that's why it's so important for us to love ourselves and have compassion for ourselves. Because as a parent, if you don't have true love for yourself and love yourself, then you're not going to be able to teach that to other people. I would say that it's going to be okay. It may not feel okay right now. There's a lot of heaviness in our world right now. There's a lot of things that are imperfect. And especially, I don't know, just high school or just, I guess, any stage of your life, you can feel like this is it. And if you can just get past that dark patch and know that somebody cares, I care, and there are other people that care, reach out and accept that people care and love you. And that if you can get through this dark night, then on the other side, it's so much brighter and it's so much better. I think when life is heavy and we've got all the weight of the world on us, and it can feel crushing, it can be hard to breathe. And I can't say that I have the answer for that. I guess my thought is to look up to the sun, look to a tree, look to something, and just take that next step. Just one more thing, one more day. And I know that like our situations feel like we can't escape them, and sometimes we can't escape, and sometimes, especially if you're a kid and your home life is not right, or if you're married and or your job or whatever, it can feel like you're stuck. And you may be stuck that day, but if you just take that next step and choose life, choose love, then things will get better. And it may take time. It's worth it. It doesn't feel worth it in the moments. I remember I've had a time where I was crying outside when I was pregnant with my oldest, crying out in the snow. I wasn't suicidal, but I just felt so hopeless and so alone that I just was like, why, and just the pain of the coldness of the snow actually gave me relief just there. So that wasn't necessarily suicidal, but I just felt pain. And sometimes we just have to feel that pain and reach out. I would encourage people to reach out.